I had so much fun playing Ion Fury. It's not Maiden, it's Fury. Dude, it brings you back to 1996, and it does it in such a good way. I love the guns. The guns were awesome, especially the starting gun, which was called the Loverboy. It was a pistol because headshots were a thing in this game. You could do a lot of damage with just a couple of bullets, and it carried through so far in the game, and I love that. The shotgun was awesome, especially when you just hit the right click and you could switch to the grenade launcher, which was weapon number 7. All of the guns were good, and all of them were useful. I couldn't figure out too much of a use for a cluster puck, but it looked like, just something to drop down and just blow up a whole bunch of guys, and I used that later in the game. Um, the build engine's kind of janky. There was like little bitty enemies and stuff where sometimes your projectile weapons wouldn't hit correctly or something. They're little bastards, but other than that, it was really stable, which you could not say for like the original Duke Nukem 3D. That sucker would, you would end up being killed by stupid stuff, and like you would open a door, Duke would explode. I remember that a lot, and it would make me mad. Um, I really liked the levels themselves. There was like most of them were in rooms. They managed, you would funnel yourself through the level, and you would open up shortcuts, and then you could go back and visit the areas you wanted to do before, because there was like secrets and stuff, and you wanted to look for secrets, but I didn't want to personally lose my mind, so I didn't spend too much time looking for secrets. But if you got toward the end of the level where you couldn't find secrets anymore, it would tell you how many you were missing. It was like, oh, you have 25 secrets left. It's like, yeah, man, I'm not going to go get them. I'm just going to keep going and playing. But if you wanted to do all the creepabouts, you could. And I hear that there's secret levels in it, but I never found them. I mean, and I wasn't going to look up anything. And dude, I just had so much fun just in the levels themselves. The levels and the weapons and the enemies, they were basic, but they were fun, and I never got tired of killing them. And it slowly added more enemies over time. All of that, plus some pretty good graphics for a build engine game, for a game from '96. And I thought that the music was pretty good too. I want to try to get a hold of the soundtrack. It wasn't available on Steam. All of that gives you a nice package of a retro shooter that you just played a lot. And I got about 10 hours on it, maybe even more than that. Probably around 13. And I highly recommend it at $25. Let me see if we could come up with any flaws. I guess one of the flaws would be Shelley herself is just, she's not Duke Nukem. She's definitely not Duke Nukem. She's kind of she's like a stand-in, and she just drops all of these 80s and 90s reference jokes. There's a couple of little memes and stuff in the game too, but they just weren't very funny. And maybe this stuff was really funny to me when I was like 16. It just doesn't work for me anymore. And that was the same for Duke Nukem Forever, by the way. And once you realize that you played some of those Duke Nukem games, that it wasn't really Duke Nukem that carried the game. It was the game itself. Duke Nukem 3D is amazing. Duke 1 and 2 sucked. But Shelley's kind of, becomes the stand-in, and she says stuff, you're just not really impressed with what she says, and you kind of just gets kind of mad. That's the only way I can say is mad. Now, do I recommend this game? Oh yeah. And Big Kitty, she loves retro games, and she would definitely going to give it a paw up. Now, and then Brian also really likes twitchy, crazy, explodey shit, and so we got 2 paws up, man. We got 2 paws going down. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, it came up with some SJW controversy and stuff. There's an ongoing culture war, and we've got to put our culture war, and we got to put our views onto everybody else, and I just think that that's a load of crap. I'm hoping that that has managed to backfire on this game, and then it's actually increased sales, but I don't know. I think that this is a game that just came out of nowhere. I knew it was coming because I seen it in Game Informer, but it's going to be missed by a lot of people, and it's going to be missed by people that like my age. I'm in my late 30s. I know that people probably were playing Duke Nukem when they were 20 something, so they're 40 something now. That a lot of the boomer crowd, as you were, we're going to miss this game, and it's real sad. You shouldn't. And I don't know if it's going to get a console release. And with all of this controversy over a couple words on the little Olay soap things, I don't know if we're going to get a console port at all, really, and that's kind of sad, but this is the best build game ever. And I'm not just being nostalgia goggles. If you go back and play Duke Nukem 3D or Shadow Warrior, half your guns kill you. And give me one more to say, like when you have a bunch of guns in like Duke Nukem, only a couple of those guns were guns that you could really trust. You knew the shotgun wasn't going to fail you. You knew the chain gun wasn't going to fail you. But you might open up a door and you have a microwave cannon, but it's a robot drone on the other side, and the microwave cannon wouldn't even, I mean, the little shrinky thing wouldn't even work on it. Or you'd have a pipe bomb. There's a bunch of gimmicky weapons for deathmatch. And Shadow Warrior was the same way. It was a gimmicky weapons for deathmatch. And so you would only use a couple of guns. While in Ion Fury, not Maiden, you felt like every gun was pretty good. And I think that was a point that really, really stressed me, that I wanted to stress out, that I think was really what drove me to keep playing, is because you felt every gun was great. Anytime you killed an enemy, it felt great. And so you need to go get this game, man. You need to go get it now.